As we already know from our previous metaphilosophy sessions, all philosophy, like other rational activity, is only possible by conceptual simplifications. Here we also keep in mind that philosophy at the end is a belief in definitions. The traditional concept for defining truth in philosophy can be expressed by the so-called theory of correspondence, which briefly boils down truth to the correspondence between a thing and the intellect. Accordingly, non-correspondence between a subject and its rationalization is considered to be false. This popular concept seems to be an expression of common sense and creates a seemingly convenient platform for further philosophical constructions. In fact, the relation of knowledge, its expression, and further communication is by far more complicated than this extreme conceptual simplification. The chain of correspondence requires actually first correspondence between the original conception being a distinction of something as such, and the communicated expression of its original conception. Further, the communicated expression needs in turn to correspond equally also to the perception of the communicated expression, and so on. But that is not all. The very concept of correspondence presupposes a subject different to its conceptualization, creating the same effect as putting a subject between two mirrors with endless reflections of derived reflections as the indefinite outcome. And every time you try to grasp such a reflection, you thereby create a new reflection of a reflection, and so on. Which means that we all the time actually move further and further away from the conceptual source that we should correspond to. Given this short summary, it might be surprising to hear that all Western philosophical traditions, from ancient time to and including postmodernism, presents variations of this very theory, even the ones criticizing it, since they accuse it not to correspond to matters of fact. The Irish immaterialist philosopher George Berkley, developing empiric idealism, might partly be an exception in this regard. But the interesting thing is that there's no significant fundamental difference between realism and idealism when it comes to their common cognitive basis, the subject of what really is. But that will be the subject of our next session.